Welcome to Ladies Who Launch, not your average business podcast. Dropping every other Wednesday, Alyssa and Dakota are two successful and opinionated marketing entrepreneurs engaging in insightful conversations with industry thought leaders, as well as casual conversations surrounding our lives as entrepreneurs. Welcome back to another episode of Ladies Who Launch. Alyssa and I are coming to you today from a finally sunny Calgary after much snow. It's for weirdness. And Alyssa, I don't know what's happening with your camera, but you look like you're on like a old CCV camera from the 80s. It's weird.
This is the Zoom beauty filter. And I have the beauty filter like jacked right up today. And so it gives this like weird clear vision face. And it's my way of dealing with 8 a.m. recording times and not drinking enough coffee. So thank you, Zoom beauty filter. That gives me the IG filter of my dreams.
Give me a good smile there, Alyssa, because I'm going to take a screenshot.
Okay, wait. This is why, behind the scenes of Ladies Who Launch is that we do want to release these videos at some point. We do record these videos and so we do have plans but the real talk is that we look like absolute dog shit most of the time when we record these. And so Dakota and I are a little vain about wanting like the world to see like us in dirty pajamas and greasy hair. So we're still working through that. Maybe some therapy on us releasing these recording videos, because I think people need to see what we look like really. I'll have to remove the beauty filter. I'm sorry, but
Hey, give me a smile. Gorgeous. Okay. It literally looks like one of those 80s videos where they're talking to like a murderer on the others.
Oh, I know, right? It looks like an AI. I look like AI. I look like I'm not even real. I mean, it's good times. And I mean, I don't think the sun coming in on the side makes me look a little like, I don't know. Anyway, yes.
Oh, there I am. Okay, here we go. I'm going to take a screenshot of both of us.
Yeah. Sorry, we know people are listening. We just don't care.
You know what? I love the dirty, greasy look personally. I feel like I'm really rocking it today. I got some nice mascara under my eyes. It's beautiful. And I just got some Botox done, so my eyebrows are coming in hot.
Oh yeah, you got a little Spock brows there, but those will deflate.
Second time getting Botox, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, Botox is a win on all levels. Mm-hmm.
Every now and again, whatever, just a little pick me up.
Yeah, that's one thing about recording these, just generally like that. Now we live in this online like meeting world that we spend so much time staring at ourselves every day in various different capacities because we're all in online meetings, and it's just like, then you start picking out every little thing about yourself. It's like, oh, when did I get that? Like,
you know what's funny though? It's actually been an exercise in self-love for me. I'm kind of like, oh, hi. Oh, hey there. Hey.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We don't think anyone's listening to this. We just talk for ourselves, really. We're just here for ourselves. So yeah.
We are.
Welcome.
Welcome to the circus. So anyway, the last time you probably tuned into Ladies Who Launch, we were talking about relationships and the T-Swift effect and trying to find your Travis Kelce in clients and in your romantic life. And I went through some of my recent romantic escapades. And we wanted to do sort of a 2.0 of that because we have so much more to say on this topic. So we would encourage you after this episode to go back and listen to our last episode just to get some context. But in short, we were chatting about why it's so difficult to find a partner that's going to step up for you and meet you where you're at, why we think it's so difficult, and the fact that we think a lot of it has to do with how men in particular, men, are being raised these days. The power seat and the power dynamic that women have had to step into or are stepping into from an equality standpoint. And then on top of that, just this idea that like we all want to be chosen. And I think that that translates to business as well. And so what I wanted to get into on today's episode was feminine and masculine polarity and what that means both from a personal setting and a business setting. Because I think if you're a good business owner, you're having to step into both. So before I dive in, Alyssa, do you have any sort of like initial questions? I'm happy to explain what I mean by feminine and masculine polarity. But do you have anything to say about that?
No, I'm gonna I'll reserve any comments because I'd rather go into this with an open mind because sometimes Dakota does throw a little bit of her wellness into the ether, and I sort of have to allow myself to
be open-minded,
take it in
before as I spray myself with some eucalyptus mood mist.
Yeah, see, there you go. Is that Mifa?
It is.
Yeah, Mifa's good. I love Mifa as a brand. I think they were to Vancouver, Canadian women-owned brand.
Yeah, that's right. I got it at Sunday State in Mardeloop, and they have body wash too, which top notch body wash. Good stuff.
We're just all over the place today, aren't we?
Yeah, I love it. It's whatever. It's how you.
This is us really on a daily basis. Is just
I don't know why we're don't. Yeah, like it's not a bad thing. It keeps shit interesting,
right? Yeah.
Anyway. So polarity is the concept of dualism between masculine and feminine. And most of the time it's used to describe like sexual ideologies and like the symbolism of, what does it mean to be feminine? What does it mean to be masculine? But I think in the toxic wellness space, it can get a little toxic in the sense that emotional intelligence and the ability to communicate gets a little bit more thrown into the left-wing side of things, which is like the feminine more than it does the masculine. And so a man can't be masculine, or a woman can't be masculine unless she's stoic and has zero emotion. And so I think that's incorrect. And so what I'd like to unpack today with Alyssa is, in my eyes, I'm not an expert by any stretch, but like in my eyes, what do I think masculine and feminine energy look like in both a relationship and in the workplace? And then I would just kind of like to unpack this a little bit and talk about it, because I think going back to the dating conversation, part of what's missing from a lot of healthy, strong relationships right now is this idea that women are doing it all and they have to service their man in order to have a healthy, happy relationship. And then there's the whole narrative of happy wife, happy life. And none of this is helpful, because in a healthy dynamic, in my opinion, two people should be coming together into a partnership. There shouldn't be sway on either end, really. But there should be the ability for anybody at any given time to be vulnerable. And the fact that this is touted as being feminine or girly or weak is completely the opposite of what femininity actually represents. Okay? So I think the two poles, feminine and masculine, should be present in each relationship and in multiple relationships. It should be present in friendships. It should be present in business relationships. It should be present like just in general. I think just because you're a woman, it doesn't mean you can't lean into your masculine. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you can't lean into your feminine. And so I would say that qualities of a masculine polarity would be strength, action, logic, assertiveness, and the action that really drives us to achieve our goals. So you could kind of call it like taking action. So in a relationship, masculine might mean the ability for a woman who's a CEO or runs her own company and has to live in that strength, action, logic, assertiveness piece in her business all day, to come home and have a partner who can then take on those roles at home. So she can then lean into her feminine, which seeks emotional fulfillment and connection at the end of the day, is a little more nurturing, is the giving and receiving love part of making connections. And I think for me, what I'm looking for in a partner, just to be experiential with this, is I do have to live in that masculine in my business. I have to make the decisions. I have to wear all the hats. I have to manage my team. And do I lean into my feminine in my business? I do. And that would be the ability to adapt to change. That would be the looking for fulfillment in my business piece. But most of the time, 90% of the time, I'm constantly in that strength, action, logic, assertiveness kind of role. And so I want the ability, and I look for this in my friends as well. I want the ability when during my downtime to just be Dakota, take off my fucking bra at the end of the day, put on some sweats and like eat some comfort food and just have a hug from someone. And so I do personally look for a guy who's very masculine. I want the guy who's masculine. But what I don't want is the toxic masculinity that comes with what people think masculine means. I don't want the disgusting dad jokes that are aimed fully loaded at women at the end of my day. I don't want remarks of how I'm not, doing the dishes because that's my role. I don't want to be barefoot and pregnant for you. I would like somebody to meet me where I'm at in a partnership. And I would like you to feel, and I would like to make the environment for you to feel like you can lean into wanting emotional fulfillment and connection, wanting to be nurtured, wanting that same thing from me at the end of the day where you've had to be in your masculine all day. But we come home together and we have that softness, that fluidity. But then when it comes time to like step up, we can both do that. And I think this translates into business and client relationships in that I think we get so bogged down in our short-mindedness to perform and deliver that we sometimes forget that we're allowed to be human in business. So for example, I can't count the amount of fucking mental breakdowns I've had as a normal human being over the last 3 years. And yes, I'm hard on myself. I demonize myself over them, but I've actually got such incredible clients, and a lot of them men, that I've been able to get on the phone and say, hey, just so you know, I'm actually going through something really shitty right now. This thing that we're working on, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. We're going to need more capacity, or like if you want all these deliverables to happen at once, I'm going to need to kind of like re-strategize this. That I would say is leaning into your feminine a little bit. It's that ability to be like, hey, I'm human. I'm going through something. I can't necessarily show up the way that I did yesterday for you today, but I'll be back tomorrow. And it's that ability to ask for levity and space to get back into a groove. And I think when we hide away and make excuses and run and just sit down and do it anyway, and we're people pleasers, that's us not being able to lean into our feminine, right? We're staying in that strength, action, logic, assertiveness role, which isn't always helpful. So I think looking at balancing your masculine and feminine polarities inside of yourself in personal dynamics and business dynamics is a really interesting way to give yourself grace to be human.
I really like everything that you said there because I feel that myself. And I think I know this about myself, that I'm much more masculine in my professional existence than I am personally. And I know that about myself, and it's something I think about. Like I'm much more analytical and less emotional in my business. And I think I've always sort of compartmentalized that a little bit, and that I sort of started corporately working in a time where we were still surrounded by that toxic. I mean, I worked for a newspaper as my first job out of university, and the most toxic environment you can imagine. And so I sort of still think back to that like 22-year-old that was trying to manage like disgusting jokes and drunken like frat party lunches, and like the newsroom of that was just like all levels. And so I sort of had to create a persona for myself as I maneuvered my way through my career over the next decade, whatever, in order to protect myself from the typical office shenanigans that went on. And I find that even though I've had my own business for 10 years and it's completely my entity and it's my vision and it's me, I still revert into that kind of walled persona when I'm dealing with clients. Like, it doesn't matter if they're male or female or otherwise. It's a protection mechanism for me because that's how I was able to navigate through my difficult, for the most part, corporate existence. And I know that about myself. And so it's interesting you bring that up because would never in a million years think of calling up a client and like talking about my mental health status. It just would not be a thing I would ever do. But yet that then bleeds into the fact that I'm so much more feminine on my personal side. And so like I keep all of those feelings about anything that bottle up and then like come like 5 p.m. and I'm like just like a complete emotional basket case because I've had to sort of like bottle all that in for my work persona. And I would bet that a lot of women who came up in that like the early 2000s work culture can resonate with that because it was, I mean, it was worse before. Like, I mean, I have older like friends and their women in their 60s that used to work in oil and gas in downtown Calgary. And they used to wear stiletto heels for the sole purpose of being able to dig that stiletto heel into the shoe of a manager that grabbed their ass. And so like we've gotten way better in that realm because that would never be allowed in an office place. But still the jokes, the needling, all those sorts of things that happen in an office place still happen. And so I've sort of had to start doing that work too, to sort of allow myself to allow more of that emotional empathy that I exist in my personal life into my work. I think it helps from a perspective that I think I do better work in that realm, not even just in the relationships with clients or colleagues or anything else, but I think the output that I produce is better because my writing's better or other things are better because I'm thinking with that feminine part of myself. But it's exhausting. Like, I think we all can feel that, like that you've created sort of this more stoic masculine persona for your professional life. And so when you do sort of end that and get to take your bra off and put your pajamas on and eat comfort food, it's like, it's cathartic. And I think I end up falling too much into that. And I think like Dakota and I talk about this a lot off the cast. It's like too much ordering skip the dishes and too much all of those things. Cause it's like, I just want to feel comfort. And that makes me, whereas I'm like, I need to find that comfort in other ways. And so it's not sort of this like mass decompression at the end of my day because I haven't been able to release those more feminine emotions or feminine feelings throughout the day, that it sort of all lands on me in the evening. And I think this is not anything abnormal. I'm sure that women are dealing with this every day, no matter whether you're working in a corporate job or whether you have your own business.
Or you're raising kids at home.
And or you're raising kids at home, like having to be like the strict mom, or like your kids are acting up. So you have to like go into sort of masculine, strict discipline mom. And then you have a meltdown in the closet after because you just feel so awful about it. Yeah,
well, and what's interesting to me about rewarding yourself at the end of the day with comfort is it's kind of like bedtime procrastination. I don't know if you've ever heard this term. No. It's something that my therapist and I identified a couple of years back. And it was very interesting in that I used to procrastinate procrastinate at bedtime, and I'd stay up later than I should to get me time because I wasn't giving myself enough me time during the workday. So I feel like if you're not able to lean into your feminine polarity during the workday and be creative and receptive of what you're doing and collaborative with people and empathetic of things.
Yeah.
And just go, 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 go. I'm a hard rock all day. You're going to, of course, you're going to want to fall into that comfort spell when you get home because you're not getting it in your everyday.
Yeah.
So the question is, what can I do during my work day and just every day to like have routine and things for me set up so that at night I can continue to be somewhat productive and working towards my goals. So for me, my goals have always been, healthy body, looking after my finances by way of not spending constantly and just because I want to, because it makes me feel good, connection with friends and community above anything else.
Yeah.
Nurturing relationships with my family and my loved ones. And then, of course, the stuff that's for me, traveling, reading, taking a pottery class, going to the gym, learning how to climb, whatever, right? And then even at the gym, yeah, maybe we might be a little more in our masculine there, but we can also learn from that as well. Like one of the things that's been really humbling for me in my life is learning how to hike. And I think climbing is going to be very similar. I just recently got into rock climbing. And also hiking the West Coast Trail last year, like just being easy on yourself in the sense that your ego will constantly be fighting you in activities such as that. And even at the gym, your ego is going to be fighting you. You have to learn how to give yourself grace to not do things properly. You have to learn how to give yourself grace to maybe not finish something that's really hard because it didn't feel in alignment with you at the time. And that's okay. And like, that's a great example too of leaning into your empathetic feminine energy, and not into your masculine. Because if you lean into the feminine too much, dare I say it might become lazy. Whereas if you lean into the masculine too much, you're then just this hard stone. It's like the dichotomy of living in New York versus LA. If you stay in New York for too long, you become hard. If you stay in LA for too long, you become soft.
Right.
So it's trying to mix the hard and the soft to be happier at the end of the day. And knowing that both are okay. And then seeking that in relationship as well. And this is what we've been talking about is so hard to find.
Yeah. And I think from a relationship perspective, it's finding that person that understands when they need to step in whatever other capacity, like they need to, they know that you need some emotional support. So they need to step into their feminine and be that compassionate, empathetic voice for you and to make you feel comfort and to make you feel special, whatever. And then maybe sometimes when they need to step into the masculine to just like take over and like get things done for you. So whether that's doing the laundry or taking the kids to school, like just being able to step in and take charge of those things that are overwhelming you at the time and just letting you like just taking the pressure off you. I think finding that person that is able to see and feel what you need at the time. And same on our end too, like knowing when just to back off and they need time to decompress and you don't need to be in their face wanting to know like, oh, how are you feeling today? How did work go? Like sometimes like just letting them go to the pub with their friends or letting them go golfing and do like you need to understand what they need in those moments too. That's what a real partnership is. And I think the people who find that, I think, is sometimes unicorns, like people who have great marriages like that or great relationships. It's kind of unicorn-ish-esque. Because that is hard to find. And finding the person, like your person that understands when they need to be those two parts of themselves for you and vice versa, I think is super hard. And I think part of the reason is that in the sort of dating sphere, no one wants to show those both sides to people because it's super vulnerable. So in my dating, I immediately go to the masculine and I want to like be in charge because I don't want to get hurt. So it's like, I want to be the one in charge and I want to be the one making decisions. And because if I don't do that, and I'm the one that like falls too fast or falls like feels things for them, blah, 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 they break my heart. So you create a wall around yourself just to protect yourself. And so that makes getting to know people harder.
Yeah. Like when you love somebody, they leave.
Right.
That's the narrative for me too. As soon as I let my walls down and I'm like, here's all of me, I get appreciated for it and I get admired for it. And yeah, it was actually interesting. My most recent dynamic, I thought that I was in love with this person and falling in love with them because they saw me that way. They were like, I love seeing vulnerable Dakota. I don't want to see hard Dakota. I don't want to see, I want to see messy Dakota. I want to see it all. But then same thing, I cracked them open somehow and they were like, I got to go work on myself, which is admirable for sure. And I don't want them to jump into a relationship with me in the sense that they haven't done their work and then they can't, right? But it's interesting as time goes on, we are looking for that. We want to be chosen. We want to fall into someone's arms.
Yeah.
In a way, right?
I think that's the key point right there, the chosen, and not so much, but I want to be someone's very first favorite person.
Yes.
Like, totally. I think that is like, and I don't know why that would be deemed not acceptable. Cause it's like, no, I want to be chosen because I'm your first choice. I don't want to be chosen because this thing didn't work out. So Alyssa's good. Right. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's sort of like a lot of what's happened to me is like, I've been the settled one or whatever, but no, why is that not something that women should ascribe to? Is like, no, I want to be the top choice.
And one thing I'll say that I've been really lucky to experience in like my last 3 or 4 dynamics is the conversation at the end has always been, you deserve to be chosen and I can't give that to you. And that's when you got to believe it.
Yeah. And just,
yeah.
And there's no point. And on one level, I appreciate that of men sort of understanding that. But on the other level, I'm like, then go do something about it. Like, it's like, so I always think too, is like, this doesn't all fall on me. Like, we're all single together. So you are no greater or worse than me because you're still single too. So I'm not taking that burden of you working on yourself because you've gotten to 35 or 40 or whatever and are just realizing this now. Well, I'm not taking that burden on myself. And you don't get to look at me like, well, you're still single. It's like, yeah, so are you.
And fair enough. I don't feel that, but like, I hear you with that. Yeah. It's like, and then I do get annoyed because it's like at some point, like, where do I find these people that have worked on themselves? That's my question.
Or want to work on themselves with me. Right? Like, why? If we have something, it's like, why can't you work on yourself with me or along with me?
Yeah. And be brave enough together to like learn from, and like, I actually was listening to a podcast the other day and this really sat with me. The minute we leave relationship with anybody, we stop learning about ourselves. So yeah, there's a certain level of work you've got to do on your own for sure. And there's even work that needs to be done potentially with a professional, right? But as soon as we run from relationship and like we're scared of dating, we're limiting our ability to learn. And so the narrative of like, you have to go fix yourself and then be perfect and then you can be in a relationship is complete and utter bullshit. You're going to learn the most about yourself and heal the most in relationship as long as that other person isn't, toxic and bad news because they have
we're not talking about them.
That's when like narcissists can come in and like really fuck shit up. But one thing I wanted to say, it's not always appropriate to put your stuff on other people. And so I do want to just quickly go back and say like, no, it's not always appropriate to like, it's rarely appropriate to call a client up and like have to
trauma dump.
Like, oh my God, I can't, whatever. But I think that the fact that we feel like we can't is bullshit. And like the whole idea of like, if you need a mental health day as a business owner, you should be able to say, you know what? I need a mental health day. I'm sorry, but like this will come tomorrow.
Yeah.
If it's not the world, right? And that's the stuff that I'm saying is important. Yeah. You can't just go and like put your and like not lean into needing to take a break or like working through lunch, not going to the gym, you know, not doing the things that you need to do for you to set up your day properly because so-and-so wants something from you or they ask for something last minute.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's imperative to be open in those situations and imperative to be able to say, you're not going to get this today because I have for quite frankly, you don't even owe anyone an explanation. It's like, this will come tomorrow because I always try to get back to the point of none of us is curing cancer.
No,
none of what we do in our daily existence is such an emergency or such a diehard thing that if it doesn't get sent off by end of day, that the world's going to implode. Whatever is going on can be more than fine to send that off tomorrow. And I think that's a good lesson for all of us to exist, like both in our professional lives and our personal lives. Like, it's just a standard boundary we should all hold that if it is not happening today, and if we need to take the afternoon to go get a pedicure or go for a walk or go do something to get out of that mind space, then that's what we do. And quite honestly, that's one of the reasons that I decided to work for myself was for that. And
within reason, like I think about my employee, and if she said, if during a very busy day, she was like every week, like wanting to go get a pedicure, like no. But at the same time, if it's like so she and I have 4 mental health days we can take just whenever. We try to get 24 hours notice, but like if you need that mental health day. So she's covering for me while I'm gone in Portugal for the next 2.5 weeks. And I said to her that it's going to be busy. So when I get back, I want you to just take a long weekend. Just pick a long weekend. I just want you to take it if you feel like you need it, just to decompress. And also we're going to go for like a lunch, you know, when I get back the week that I'm back, just to like reconnect as a team and just to have some nice, like, let's chat about life FaceTime together. It's not just like, let's just jump back in. So
good rules to live by. Yeah. Well, I think we have sort of exhausted. Well, I don't think we've exhausted this topic because I know Dakota and I could talk about this forever, but we would like your feedback. I mean, if you listen to the last episode and then into this one, like, how do you in your personal or professional life sort of lean into your masculine or feminine? We'd love to have that discussion about some things that you're doing to make your work life more effective, or your personal life, or some resources. So feel free to DM us on Instagram at ladieswholaunchpod, or send us an email at ladieswholaunchpod@gmail.com. And we will catch you on the next episode of Ladies Who Launch.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to Ladies Who Launch. Join Dakota and Alyssa every second Wednesday for more conversations and interesting guests. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating and connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. If you send us a question, we may answer it on a future episode.